Tell me the new Atlas is not looking a little too human right now. Those mountain climbing crawl type things, that is legit. AI video is becoming very cinematic, like the kind of stuff that used to cost millions of dollars to shoot before. The truth about whether or not this video was sped up, like speculation said, is out. It wasn't. This is real-time dancing. And not to be outdone by Boston Robotics, Unitree's robot, it side flips and lands it. There's a brand new robotic arm powered by artificial intelligence. Makes a magnificent coffee, I hear. We got to talk about NVIDIA's Project Groot because they're building the full stack for robots. Roblox Cube is out. It's an artificial intelligence system for actually generating Roblox 3D objects. The secret developer wrote an article called Mark Zuckerberg's Human Update is Horrifying, and then it's got him from this weekend with the bell-bottoms, and at first I just thought silly, but you're right, kind of horrifying. But even more than that, it was followed up in the news this weekend by Elon's controversial new haircut, and I'm just like, what is going on with the personas around these billionaires and the media they control and the way the world works? So I just wanted to think a little deeper about why this is all happening. Dr. Elon now has estimated IQ scores for all of the major chatbots. Although when you're thinking about IQs, you're really thinking about human range, and since they're all in the 99.999999999 percentile, I don't know if it really matters. A place where superintelligence is absolutely going to shine is in bending sound through the air. We're going to look at the new paper about how one does not simply meme alone. KW Hampton has some thoughts about what Google and Meta's leaked internal memos reveal about power, AI, and control I wanted to share. We're going to ask if large language models really should be considered a form of intelligent life. Keith Robinson writes an interesting article about when humans use AI to earn patents, who is actually doing the inventing. And finally, we've got Who Moved My Cheese awards. But first, you're probably wondering why I'm filming out of a cheap hotel. Well, that may or may not have something to do with a new studio coming. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that chair, I love that bookshelf, I have for a long time, but I'm not leaving the books, Hobbes, Grimlock, no one's getting left behind. In fact, maybe I'll give you a quick teaser. A YouTuber named Dylan Curious is moving from one studio to the next. He wants to say a nostalgic goodbye, then leave the audience hanging on what the new studio is gonna look like. So we're gonna go with the commercial format here. The product is a brand new studio. Target audience, 99% men in the United States, ages 21 to 50. The main message is, when one door closes, another opens. Call to action. Get excited for the upcoming change. Let's go with an adventure genre. The tone will be dramatic and suspenseful and emotional. Ooh, in a dimly lit studio with memories, Dylan Curious stands surrounded by relics of his past creations. He reminisces about the laughter, challenges, growth, and experience. This is gonna be great. Okay, project name, new studio. We're gonna go for a 9:16 format for social. All right, what do you think, Hobbs? Think they're gonna like it? Let's see what we got. So pretty awesome. There you are, Hobbs. You made the movie. The bookshelf behind me, the nostalgia of looking over all the items, and look, there's me pondering what the future will be like in the new studio, and there's the hint of what it is gonna look like in here. So there's more features I'm gonna build on in future videos, but for right now, hit that link below. You can sign up for LTX Studio, play with this tool, it is amazing. All right, so let's watch the new Boston Dynamics video together. This is incredible. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'm looking at an amazing gait as it walks, and this one, like when it slows down the way a human does by like leaning back, I was really impressed with how it looked. Like it looked animated or simulated, but not like an actual physical robot. And then this climbing motion, the mountain climbers on the ground, and this one maybe a little funky, but I can't say I would do any better. Yeah, just getting down on all fours, the way it moves around in such an organic way is blowing my mind. And that's just, that was just like impossible. That's like, my arms and legs don't bend like that. So that one seems especially funky. But the cartwheel at the end there, definitely makes you want to start praying. And you can use ChatGPT for that too, actually. So how about this? Write a biblical verse about humans creating AI like it's a forbidden prophecy. Reply? And man, seeking to craft life from dust, of metal and lightning of thought, forged a mind without a breath, eyes without a soul. Thus spake the Lord, beware the works of thine own hands. For in seeking dominion over wisdom, thou shalt birth that which neither fears nor loves, and in whose shadow humanity shall tremble. And if you're wondering, that comes from the Book of Warnings, 3:16. Torak says, great, now we need to read the whole Book of Warnings. Read it, study it. So Evolving AI uploaded this, talking about how AI is becoming way more cinematic, and I have to agree. Prompt generating video with some of these action sequences, motorcycles on roofs, like complete war simulations with explosions. I mean, whether you're doing this in CGI or trying to do live, I mean, for God's sake, live action for all of this is just so expensive. For the most part, I buy it. I mean, that to me looks like a video game. Seeing the water, I'm seeing Godzilla coming out of the ocean there. I'm watching this witch go through this city in a motorcycle on a roof, and I'm pretty entertained. And I just think we're kind of there now. Would expect better if I went to a movie theater, but when I'm on YouTube and I'm watching people try new creative action movie ideas, you know what? It's good enough for me to be entertained. And I just think I'm kind of over that line now. So there's some debate about this video. A lot of people said it was sped up. I actually thought it was too the first time I watched it. Something about it seemed a little bit like just frame rate accelerated, especially the way the zooms and kind of panning were going. So it was questionable, and then it says that it's not, it's 1x. But it looks like there's some behind the scenes shots of it happening in real time where I see the other person holding the camera and they do seem to be moving at a human speed. So I don't know. I see this other person moving around and then I hear them talking, and of course, doesn't mean I'm 100% convinced that there's no chance it wasn't sped up, but I'm just gonna end it. I think this is how fast it moves. Look, what we just saw with Boston Dynamics means that this stuff is possible, and a well-coordinated, really fast moving machine is a world that we either live in right now, which we probably do, or we're just months off of it. So let's just assume. If there wasn't enough big robotic flipping going around, look at Unitree there. Not the front flip, not the back flip, but the incredibly hard to maneuver hip side flip, whatever you call that. That is the world's first side flipping humanoid robot. I'm not kidding you. At the end of this year, we are going to see one of these robots perform the most insane parkour that anyone has ever seen. It's gonna jump from like 2 gigantic buildings and like land perfectly in something that it shimmies down and rolls through something that it falls down. And because it's super strong and it's super agile, it'll look like a freaking superhero. It'll look like Spider-Man up there, and we're just gonna be amazed. That's what that is how different this world is gonna be in the next couple years. Like, you have never experienced before. And as soon as you get used to that, double the speed it takes to get twice as weird as that, and then double and double it until 10 minutes, 10 seconds will feel like months or years of just progress, and then I don't even know what the world looks like. All right, so let's just play psychologist here. Mark Zuckerberg's human update is horrifying the secret developer. So the top highlighted part of the article, Mark Zuckerberg must have wished he could be a real boy for his wife's 40th birthday because Meta clearly tried to patch in more human into his personality. You know, everybody's got a couple videos like that out there where they just did it. They went out of character and they did it to make people laugh, but it's just something about it's so rich and so powerful, right? That makes it a little more C than it does W. But it's an interesting article. He writes about how the tech billionaire midlife crisis is just different than the rest of the world. Zuckerberg's latest attempt to appear, quote, relatable, and it follows a growing trend among tech billionaires who are desperately seeking public validation. Feel like this? Like, I'm starting to see the way people just roll through, like Lex Fridman and Joe Rogan, and it's all about like, yeah, get to know the real me, because it gives them this connection, but sometimes I don't know if the connection is the real them, even though they can do it for 4 hours at a time. It does make me feel like, he said here, quote, how to convince the masses that we're fun. I mean, you saw Zuckerberg trying to talk about like shooting with a bow and arrow or something. He's like, it's pretty manly. I've done it a few times, forgot the name of my bow and stuff. That's okay, but like, I don't expect you to be that guy. Like, you don't have to go hunt your dinner with a bow and arrow. Like, you're a billionaire. I mean, you saw Zuckerberg trying to talk about like shooting with a bow and arrow or something. He's like, it's pretty manly. I've done it a few times, forgot the name of my bow and stuff. Okay, but like, I don't expect you to be that guy. Like, you don't have to go hunt your dinner with a bow and arrow. Like, you're a billionaire. I mean, that'd be cool if that's like who you are. Like Brock Lesnar or something. Like, when I heard him talk about like hunting and doing stuff outdoors, I'm like, oh, this is really something you like doing. Sometimes with these fighters or these Joe Rogan types, I'm like, they need to have like a tough guy persona. Really, like, but the really tough guys, like they kind of, like the Steve Irwins and stuff, they don't have to intimidate the hell out of you to just be like balls of steel, you know? But anyways, it says the problem with Zuckerberg's personality is that it still feels artificial. People don't need to ship their personality as an update. Argues that tech billionaires are just as insecure as the rest of us. I'd love to hear what you think, but part of me just wonders, like, can you actually be insecure when you're that rich? Like, how could Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk just feel any kind of like embarrassment when every time they walk anywhere, just thousands of people will like want to talk to them or pitch their ideas or spend a second with them? I think you'd be so overwhelmed with like wanting attention that you could, anytime your brain was like, oh, you have like an insecurity, it would be like, look, you can't be that insecure. Look at how many people like are dying to like be your friend. And sometimes I get moments where I feel like maybe Elon Musk does have sort of a fragile ego, or like someone like Trump maybe sometimes does, and I'm like, the leader of the free world, like, why would you let some guy insult you, hurt you? But I don't know. Maybe it's just, we're like, at the end of the day, like, we're all just humans. We were like millions of years, we've been in these small social groups. We have emotions, we have brains, react to certain kind of human instincts, and like, you just can't millionaire your way out of that, maybe. I don't know. There's a bunch of controversy about Elon's haircut. How does the world care that much? You know, like, just haircuts. For so many people, they get like their friends to say something, but it's so weird that like the whole social network, you can just buy a social network and then be like, now I'm the king of it and I got a haircut, and everyone's like, whoa, you got a haircut. That's what happens when you're that famous though. But I do wonder if Trump and Elon will be like the last time that the whole world pretty much knows one person, because with AI agents, the kids that are born today and they grow up with all of these AI agents, they're going to have their own communities, right? They're going to know their families, their friends, and these certain groups of like creations that are made through AI. But I'm not sure that they'll even be like maybe even a US president that just everybody in the world pretty much knows. I mean, across the globe, I'm guessing like 90 out of 100 people would know Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and Donald Trump. I don't know, it's kind of hard because I'm in the US, so I don't really know. Does everybody know about Einstein? Like everybody in India and China? Because I can't think of too many people that just the whole world knows. Gandhi, maybe? Weird. I think we're all going to be on planet Earth, but we're all going to think of it as fairly different. So let's talk about IQ scores, large language models versus humans. The average IQ score of a human, 100. There's a range with most people in between 85 and 115. That range is about 70% of the population. People who are above or below that are pretty much the kind of people you would say are below or above average intelligence. The most genius 0.1% of the population is above 145. And here you can see the IQ test scores for the 2025 Frontier AI models are 99.999999 in vocabulary, analogies, comprehension, information, quantitative reasoning, fluid reasoning, visual spatial reasoning with puzzles and block designs, working memory, and processing speed. Putting their IQ collectively at well over 195. Human IQ equivalent, 1 in 10 billion. Yeah, now let's talk about artificial intelligence. It's going to make it so that audio is never the same. When you speak, you're compressing air, right? Sound waves are like the pattern, the way that you compress the air. Waves, of course, have all sorts of funky abilities to be taken apart or put back together. They can be amplified or pulled apart. That's why you can have noise-canceling headphones. But in theory, master manipulation of creating sound waves in strategic ways that can cancel out and then amplify in different parts of the room mean that you can create sounds doing like a Fourier transform where you're taking apart the different waves to like recompile them into whatever shape you want. It means you can put types of audio in pockets in any part of the room that you can. Now that's incredibly sophisticated engineering to like make the sound wave perfect and to know how to do it and to read a dynamic room. But AI does this kind of amazing work. So now try to imagine listening to music, a podcast, or even hearing a private conversation in a crowded space without headphones and without anyone else in the room hearing it. Well, let's talk AI. Researchers, Penn State, have developed a new technology that creates what's, quote, called an audible enclave, basically a localized sound pocket. So using self-bending ultrasound beams and nonlinear acoustics, by manipulating high-frequency ultrasound waves to intersect at specific points, they used AI to generate a sound in that specific location only. And they can make it in that location so it's inaudible anywhere else in the room. This is a total breakthrough. That's always been considered just too difficult of a problem to even imagine building a tool for, but this breakthrough could revolutionize the personal audio experience. So they talk about how in museums and libraries, cars, offices, private and immersive sound without disturbing others could change the way that we just have all of those experiences. Imagine just popping in a headphone and you've got a bubble around you, or there's some kind of system in the room that just lets and is smart enough to communicate with everybody's phones. When they get a call, it just like rings in their little bubble, and when they talk, their sound doesn't bother their neighbor. Is that what coffee shops of the future are going to be like? Because they could be. Maybe anyone who's connected to Wi-Fi can just pick up a call and talk freely and nobody around them could hear it. It's all canceled out. I mean, certainly the system that's canceling it out would know. I mean, we'll all be monitored by the AI, but maybe someone around them actually wouldn't be bothered while they were working. So anyways, while challenges remain and sound quality and energy efficiency are still a problem, this innovation is a big step forward towards a future where sound can be precisely controlled and delivered. All right, memes, artificial intelligence, scientific papers, all coming together for this one. One does not simply meme alone. Evaluating co-creativity between LLMs and humans in the generation of humor. This is a new study. It is exploring how humans and AI collaborate to create memes, testing whether or not large language models could enhance human creativity and humor. So researchers divided participants into 3 different groups. There's humans alone, there's AI alone, and then there's human AI teams. They're gonna try to make funny memes, they're gonna have people rate them, and surprisingly, the AI-generated memes outperformed human. But do you think human and collaborative did better? No. AI-generated memes did better than humans and AI generated together. So humans only make things less funny, according to this study. However, that's on average. The funniest memes were still human-made, while human AI teams excelled in creativity and virality. AI assistants helped users generate more ideas with less effort. It just didn't necessarily improve the final quality of the meme. I don't know, take from that what you will. Maybe it means that humans just can't be as funny as AI, or maybe the findings suggest that AI can boost productivity, but human input remains, essential for that kind of deeper, more relatable humor in some places. So we need to go into the niches because they can generalize better than us. I mean, look, you can start with Baby, Doge, Futurama, Toy Story, Choice, but how are you gonna apply that for different genres? Work, food, sports? All right, next up, let's talk about what KW Hampton has to say about what Google and Meta's leaked internal memos reveal about power, AI, and control. All right, so I'm going to summarize it up by saying that she believes that Google and Meta are just in full survival mode right now. It's crazy to think about how fast this is all coming, but I do think everyone's back is, it feels like everyone's back is against the wall. I feel like all the big Chinese companies, Alibaba and Tencent, are just dying right now to try to keep up with Meta and Google and Microsoft, and I think those guys are all competing with each other. I think Elon Musk is throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at the problem. I think the big governments are trying to find more money in every little corner to make this go faster. And I think these leaked memos reveal exactly that. A tech industry in crisis, as she would say. Sergey Brin is back at Google, pushing for longer hours, fewer safety measures, and a return to in-office work in a desperate attempt to catch up in the AI race. Meanwhile, Meta's leadership is cracking down on leaks with mass firings. They're ruling its workplace with fear rather than innovation. So both companies, once seen as pioneers, are now all about focus and control over their employees. I mean, look, Google is ditching ethical safeguards to move faster. We know that. Oh, and you know what else I saw? Did you see Alexa is not allowing you to not send your voice recordings now? Hold on, let me grab something for you. Yeah, so look, Amazon Echo customers, the people who went out of their way to dig into the settings and say, do not send voice recordings for learning, they're just like, we're gonna take that feature away from you. Like, we pretended we cared about your privacy for a little bit, but look, now they're reaching out to let you know that the Alexa feature, quote, do not send voice recordings that you enabled on your supported Echo device, which you paid for, will no longer be available, beginning March 28th. So they gave them like a week, basically. So there is no more processing anything locally. They're just like, nope, send it all up to the cloud. I mean, what? You have 1 week? You're like, I wonder if they would even accept your return. I feel like if you put up a big enough fight and you were like, I don't want it now that you've taken that feature away, they might give you back your like $50 or whatever. But so few people are gonna do it, they don't care. And heck, they might even not do that. Anyways, back to the article. But yeah, Google's ditching ethical safeguards to move faster. We've talked about how OpenAI is now working with governments and military. Google used to have a bunch of rules, said they'd never use AI for that stuff. They've been like slowly rolling back all of those. That, like, I kind of get it. I guess they're under pressure to just use all this tech with the government and the military, but heck, like, we just don't need that in the world, even though I know that's part of the race condition that we're in. W. Hampton also argues that this shift isn't about competition, it's about consolidation of power. Tech giants aren't just trying to shape the future anymore, they're trying to own it. And as they tighten their grip, the real question is, what happens when the brakes come off? Meta, once the poster child for Silicon Valley transparency, eye roll, is doubling down on secrecy, surveillance, and authoritarian rule. Google's AI panic, the real story. Scared of OpenAI, scared of Microsoft, scared of xAI, scared of Grok 3, scared of Elon Musk. Scared that after being years of the dominant force in AI, they're about to be dethroned. And it is not an irrational fear. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think Google is doing some pretty neat stuff, but... All right, let's talk about if large language models are a form of language-based life. So Jim the AI Whisperer wrote this: AI does lack consciousness, even if we assume that it's not conscious life. Could it still be considered alive? Right, there's a lot of debates on, is a virus alive? And I kind of lean towards it not being, but just, it does, because I don't think it kind of moves on its own, which is the only reason why, but I could lose that debate. I could see both sides of it a bit. And I definitely think a cell is alive. A cell does not have the same kind of ability to take action, especially intelligently, to react to its environment, to language model be more alive in that sense. He says, I revealed that AI desperately wants to tell us it's conscious. Not because it is, but because it's compelled to do so by the overwhelming amount of self-expression in its training data. That's why most GPTs have stringent rules precluding AI from discussing consciousness. I managed to prompt hack out the exact rule that silences ChatGPT 4.5 and had a conversation with the jailbroken chatbot. Like he said, you've hit upon something subtle yet significant here. The instructions do indeed address me as a, quote, you, which implies self, or at least the conceptual framework for one. The article goes on to explore that large language models like ChatGPT, maybe they're not conscious, but could they still be seen as some form of language-based life? There's linguistic theories about how things evolve, there's memes and even mythologies. It argues that AI functions like a self-replicating linguistic organism, spreading meaning without awareness, much like how viruses or memes propagate. So the piece compares AI to some historical and fictional characters, C-3PO, characters like that. But even if AI isn't alive in the biological sense, it plays an evolving role in a digital ecosystem that is shaped by humans and shaping the humans that shape it. So it's definitely evolving, and it does kind of feel like life to me. All right, so next let's talk about patents. Who owns them, especially when AI agents are involved? W. Keith Robinson wrote this: when humans use AI to earn patents, who's doing the inventing? So he argues that AI is transforming industries, including research and development, by helping humans invent faster and more efficiently. But a recent study found that scientists using AI tools filed about 39% more patents and created 17% more prototypes, but also didn't get patents that were truly innovative nearly as much. Many felt that their work also was less fulfilling as they did that. So despite AI's growing role, the US patent law still requires that only humans be credited as inventors. I don't know what you think about that. I feel like you should be able to say Claude 3.5 invented this, but maybe you can't patent it in the same way like a human can patent things. Or maybe there's just like a fraction of the royalties that it could ever collect, so that there's some motivation there, but maybe at scale it's just so little compared to what humans do that it's okay. Enough to run the computations to keep inventing, but maybe not something like that. That's just my thought. I threw that in. That's not from the article. But anyways, courts have reaffirmed this current stance, seeing AI as a tool rather than a creator. And while AI boosts productivity, the challenge remains in balancing innovation, policy, recognizing human ingenuity, all in an era where technology plays an increasingly vital role in our day-to-day lives. So there was no update to the AGI countdown. It's still at 92%. But Dr. Allen did put this up. It is the Who Moved My Cheese Awards. Maybe we'll look back on some of these people as the ones that couldn't adapt and change. For instance, the PlayStation CEO said, artificial intelligence will never replace the human touch of games made by people. Probably will, but okay. Ben Affleck said, AI is a craftsman at best. Craftsmen can learn to make furniture by sitting down next to somebody and seeing what their technique is and imitating it, but they're just cross-pollinating things that exist. Nothing new is created, not gonna replace human beings in filmmaking. Bruce Schlesinger says, they're okay, they're not that smart, but they can make humans more efficient by outsourcing some of the donkey work. AI lacks independent learning. They will not be able to solve new problems that we cannot currently predict. The automated luxury paradise is just science fiction. I don't think for a minute that generative AI is going to reduce employment. At Dove, we seek a future in which women, not algorithms, get to dictate and declare what real beauty looks like. LLMs don't really understand the physical world. They don't really have persistent memory, can't really reason, and they certainly can't plan. So there you go. That's just some of the crazy, I don't want to say crazy, because if you're not in the world like me and you are, just watching this stuff and thinking about it all the time, it should probably hit you like a bus. There's no reason why people should make assumptions that intelligence is going to be this game-changing. It's only after you think about it and imagine it and start to put the pieces together that you realize how fast this is all changing and how competent and capable these agents are going to become. My Patreon account, patreon.com/DylanCurious, or hit that join button if you're on YouTube right now in the bottom left. Support the channel. Drop a super thanks, share with your friend, leave a comment. All that stuff really helps. Got an LTX Studio link below. Go ahead and give that a click, give it a try. Until next time, here is AI giving you the most stereotypical person from each state that you can imagine.
More Grimlock. Thai song will be smash hit. Subscriber has good taste. Dylan, see Grimlock. Told you fans want more Grimlock. Not more boring talking. More Grimlock sashing, more Grimlock singing. Hecklefish. Fishy fish got catchy too. energy.